all tonight. Most of my speeches today have pretty much been revolved around actually introducing myself to everybody. And I was supposed to actually start off with a new speech tonight, but today, but I left all my notes that I'd worked on over the weekend at the house. So I'm just going to have to try to wing it on what I worked on, and we'll see how it goes from there. Let me kind of get a feel for the crowd. How many of you are conservative? Consider yourself conservative. It's pretty overwhelming. I think that you're pretty well represented of the state. Pretty much the mainstream of the state of Arkansas is conservative. Is that not correct?
Yes.
Okay. No, you might say, why do I want to start with that? Why do I want to put that out there first? Conservative. Well, my personal opinion about the situation is that we need to stop becoming so concerned about what the party is and start worrying about what the values are. We don't want to necessarily give the Democratic Party over to the liberals. That is a pillar, an institution in this state that we also want to be controlled by conservatives. So if you happen to be a Democrat and a conservative, I not encourage you to jump over to the Republican Party, but buckle down and make sure that you move the Democrat Party back to the right. We're going to start off, just kind of going down that line. And one of the reasons I asked, were you conservative or not, instead of about party, is because I think the Secretary of State's life is about things beyond partisan politics. Think about what it's got to do. Think about what the characteristics you need in a person that actually is going into this. And you need somebody that's actually going to go in and be fair. Fairness is the most critical. Let me tell you a little story. One of the things that I've had the opportunity to do as a state legislator is invited by the American Council of Young Political Leaders and the State Department. We selected from across the country to actually be involved in a diplomatic cultural exchange to Pakistan. Now think about that. That's one of the most volatile and probably one of the most important regions in the world to actually go into. And what was interesting about it was the Pakistani group that actually invited us in was called PILDAT. It's the Pakistani Institute of Democracy, Legislative Democracy and Transparency. One of the things that I actually had the opportunity to do, that very few Americans actually do, is actually get to see a fledgling democracy in process. I was actually created. Got to go into several areas of Pakistan where I met local officials and local people. Now the local people in Rawalpindi, which is just outside of Islamabad, actually got to walk among the crowd of people that was there. You might imagine American politicians showing up in Pakistan, so caused quite a stir. So there's going to be a lot of people showing up. During the process of being there, over the whole process, I actually visited with 11 different political parties. Every single political party, including the ones that were winners in the election, said they felt like the elections were fixed. Nobody trusted the Democratic process. Talking to the local people, and I was particularly struck by Rawalpindi because the people there were very common people, very poor. But one of the things they said is, I had so-and-so friend, and he joined with so-and-so party, and I supported him to get elected, and he did not do what he wanted to do, what he said he wanted to do. They would say, I knew this guy. He really believed this stuff, but he didn't accomplish the task. Why? Why did he not accomplish the task? Well, the guy said, well, once he got in power, he worried about maintaining that power. Does that sound familiar to you guys? What is probably the strongest criticism of the Republican Party that's actually come out of the last 4 to 8 years? Once they got into power, they were more concerned with maintaining power than the principles that underlie their reasoning for getting in. And we'll talk to you about fairness. Fairness is what underlines why we do that. See, the ends do not justify the means. When we actually go into something, seeking to put political power, someone into political power to accomplish, for power's sake, a goal, and we undermine the very foundational principles, we've done more damage and harm to the cause by accomplishing an end than we would have if we had lost the election. Now, one of the things that has actually been said about me, and was said by a prominent former Democrat legislator, is, let me tell you about this about Mark Martin. He's got a titanium spine. And that sense of fairness has extended even when it hurt me. And why do I do that? The reason that I uphold the principles and the values ahead of actually winning a small battle is because the war is lost in the compromises that we make in ourselves in foundational principles. And there cannot be a more foundational principle in this country as our commitment to democracy, free and fair elections that people trust. What is the result? What is the result when people do not trust and believe that they can have a peaceful exchange of power through an election? Violence. That's exactly right. Not too long after I got back from Pakistan, I was very pleased that a peaceful exchange of power with the Shah stepping down and Benazir Bhutto taking power in Pakistan. There's hope here after all, in all the hopelessness that I actually see in Peshawar, in Rawalpindi, in Islamabad. They peacefully exchanged power for the first time in a very long time. But it wasn't too long after that I heard on the news that Benazir Bhutto had been assassinated. You want that kind of thing to actually come to this country. You want to win on conservative values and so undermine our democracy that the only way we can exchange power is by our children or our parents or our leaders being assassinated and killed. I don't think that's what we're about.